Children, how are you? I hope you all are hale and hearty. Well, I'm Satinder Kaur and today I'll be taking up Lesson 1 of Economics for Class 10. And the name of the lesson is Development. The idea of development has always been with us. It is closely connected to what people desire or aspire for. Development is a common but comprehensive term. Although it has the same positive connotations for everyone, yet people have different ideas on development. In this chapter, we will try to understand this comprehensive term from various perspectives. We will not only talk about what development means to different people, but also look into the broader concepts of national development and sustainability of development. So, let's start and try to understand the term from the perspectives of different people. Children, let's look at this table and see what development means to different people listed here. First, we have landless rural laborers. For them, development is that they get more days of work and better wages. Local school is able to provide quality education for their children. There is no social discrimination and they too can become leaders in the village. Then, prosperous farmers from Punjab want that they get assured high family income through higher support prices for their crops and through hard-working and cheap laborers. They should also be able to settle their children abroad. Similarly, urban unemployed youth would want a well-paid job and a comfortable lifestyle and security. A girl from a rich urban family desires that she gets as much freedom as her brother and is able to decide what she wants to do in life. Also, she is able to pursue her studies abroad. Now, do all these persons have the same notion of development or progress? No. Each one of them seeks different things that are most important for them. That is, the things which can fulfill their aspirations or desires. In fact, at times, two persons or group of persons may seek things which are conflicting. For instance, a girl expects as much freedom and opportunity as her brother, and that he also shares in the household work. Her brother may not like this. Similarly, to get more electricity, industrialists may want more dams, but this may submerge the land and disrupt the lives of people who are displaced, such as tribals. They might resent this and they may prefer small check dams or tanks to irrigate their land. So, two things are quite clear. One, different persons can have different developmental goals, and two, what may be development for one may not be development for the other. It may even be destructive for the other. Now let's move ahead and see what kind of development goals people generally have. Children, if you go over table 1 again, you will notice one common thing, and that is they all want more income. Besides that, people also want things like equal treatment, freedom, security, and respect. They do not like discrimination. All these are important goals. In fact, in some cases, these may be more important than more income or more consumption because material goods are not all that you need to live. Money or material things that one can buy with it is one factor on which our life depends. But the quality of our life depends on non-material things we have already spoken about. Just think of the role of your friends in your life. You may desire their friendship. Similarly, there are many things that are not easily measured, but they mean a lot in our lives. These are often ignored. Let's consider another example. If you get a job in a far-off place, before accepting it, you would try to consider many factors apart from income, such as facilities for your family, working atmosphere, or opportunity to learn. Hence, the developmental goals that people have are not only about better income, but also about other important things in life. In other words, we can say that for development, people look at a mix of goals. They not only want a decent income, but also a decent way of life. Now let's move further and talk about national development. We have seen that individuals seek different goals, then it is likely that their notion of national development is also different. Here, it is very important to keep in mind that different persons could have different as well as conflicting notions of a country's development. However, can all the ideas be considered equally important? Or if there are conflicts, how does one decide? What would be a fair and just path for all? We also have to think whether there is a better way of doing things. Would the idea benefit a large number of people or only a small group? National development means thinking about all these questions. Now, you might ask, if development can mean different things, how come some countries are generally called developed and others underdeveloped? Before we come to this, let us consider another question. When we compare different things, they could have similarities as well as differences. Which aspects do we use to compare them? Let us look at students in the class itself. How do we compare different students? They differ in their height, health, talents, and interests. The healthiest student may not be the most studious one. The most intelligent student may not be the friendliest one. So how do we compare students? The criteria we may use depends on the purpose of comparison. We use different criteria to choose a sports team, a debate team, a music team, or a team to organize a picnic. Still, if for some purpose we have to choose the criteria for the all-round progress of children in the class, how shall we do it? Usually, we take one or more important characteristics of persons and compare them based on those characteristics. Of course, there can be differences about what are important characteristics that should form the basis of comparison. Friendliness and spirit of cooperation, creativity, or marks secured. This is true of development too. For comparing countries, their income is considered to be one of the most important attributes. Countries with higher income are more developed than others with less income. This is based on the understanding that more income means more of all things that human beings need. Whatever people like and should have, they will be able to get with greater income. So, greater income itself is considered to be one important goal. Now, what is the income of a country? The income of the country is the income of all the residents of the country. This gives us the total income of the country. However, for comparison between countries, total income is not a useful measure. Since countries have different populations, comparing total income will not tell us what an average person is likely to earn. Are people in one country better off than others in a different country? Hence, we compare the average income, which is the total income of the country divided by its total population. The average income is also called per capita income. In World Development Reports brought out by the World Bank, this criteria is used in classifying countries. Countries with per capita income of $12,056 per annum and above in 2017 are called rich countries, and those with per capita income of $955 or less are called low-income countries. India comes in the category of low-middle income countries because its per capita income in 2017 was just $1,820 per annum. The rich countries, excluding countries of Middle East and certain other small countries, are generally called developed countries. Now let's move further and see if average income criteria is the perfect indicator of a country's development. For example, let's consider two countries, A and B. For the sake of simplicity, we assume that they have only 5 citizens each. Based on data given in Table 2, if we calculate the average income for both the countries, it comes to be Rs 10,000 each. Now the question is, will you be equally happy to live in both these countries? Are both equally developed? Perhaps some of us may like to live in country B if we are assured of being its 5th citizen. But if it is a lottery that decides our citizenship number, then perhaps most of us will prefer to live in country A. Now, even though both the countries have identical average income, country A is preferred because it has more equitable distribution. In this country, people are neither very rich nor extremely poor. On the other hand, most citizens in country B are poor and one person is extremely rich. So we can say, while average income is useful for comparison, it does not tell us how this income is distributed among people. Children, when we looked at individual aspirations and goals, we found that people not only think of better income but also have goals such as security, respect for others, equal treatment, freedom, etc. in mind. Similarly, when we think of a nation or a region, we may, besides average income, think of other equally important attributes. What could these attributes be? Let us examine this through an example. Look at the table 3. It shows the per capita income. We find that of the 3, Haryana has the highest per capita income and Bihar is at the bottom. This means that on an average, a person in Haryana earned 1,80,174 rupees in 1 year, whereas on an average, a person in Bihar would earn only around rupees 34,409. So, if per capita income were to be used as the measure of development, Haryana will be considered the most developed and Bihar the least developed state of the 3. Now let's look at another table showing some comparative data on Haryana, Kerala and Bihar. But before we compare this data, let's understand a few important terms. First we have infant mortality rate or IMR. It indicates the number of children that die before the age of 1 year as a proportion of 1,000 live children born in that particular year. Then we have literacy rate, which measures the proportion of literate population in the 7 and above age group. Next we have net attendance ratio, which is the total number of children of age group between 6 and 10 years attending school as a percentage of total number of children in the same age group. Now what does this table show? The first column of the table shows that in Kerala, out of 1,000 children born alive, 10 died before completing 1 year of age, but in Haryana, the proportion of children dying within 1 year of birth is 30, which is 2 times more than that of Kerala. On the other hand, the per capita income of Haryana is much more than Kerala as shown in table 3. Just think of how dear you are to your parents. Think of how everyone is so happy when a child is born. Now try to think of parents whose children die before they even celebrate their first birthday. How painful it must be to these parents. Next, note the year to which this data pertains. It is 2017. So, we are not talking of old times. It is 70 years after independence, when our metro towns are full of high-rise buildings and shopping malls. The problem does not end with infant mortality rate. The last column of the table 4 shows that around half of the children of 14 to 15 years in Bihar are not attending school beyond class 8. This means that if you went to school in Bihar, nearly half of your class would be missing. Those who could have been in school are not there. Now, how is that the average person in Haryana has more income than the average person in Kerala, but lags behind in these crucial areas? The reason is, money in your pocket cannot buy all the goods and services that you may need to live well. So, income by itself is not a completely adequate indicator of material goods and services that citizens are able to use. For example, normally your money cannot buy you a pollution-free environment or ensure that you get unadulterated medicines. Money may also not be able to protect you from infectious diseases unless the whole of your community takes preventive steps. Actually, for many of the important things in life, the best way, also the cheapest way, is to provide these goods and services collectively. These are called public facilities, which are provided by the government, for example, schools, hospitals, transport, security, etc. Just think, will it be cheaper to have collective security for the whole locality or for each house to have its own security man? What if no one other than you in your village or locality is interested in studying? Would you be able to study? Not unless your parents could afford to send you to some private school elsewhere. So, you are actually able to study because many other children also want to study, and because many people believe that the government should open schools and provide other facilities so that all children have a chance to study. Even now in many areas, children, particularly girls, are not able to achieve secondary level schooling because government has not provided adequate facilities. Kerala has a low infant mortality rate because it has adequate provision of basic health and educational facilities. Similarly, in some states, the public distribution system functions very well, and thus health and nutritional status of people of such states is likely to be better. So we conclude that good public facilities are also an indicator of development. Over the past decade or so, health and education indicators have come to be widely used along with income as a measure of development. For instance, Human Development Report published by UNDP compares countries based on the educational levels of people, their health status and per capita income. It would be interesting to look at certain relevant data regarding India and its neighbors. Let's first understand the terms used here. HDI. It stands for Human Development Index. HDI ranks in the above table are out of 189 countries in all. Life expectancy at birth denotes, as the name suggests, average expected length of life of a person at the time of birth. Next we have gross enrollment ratio for 3 levels, means enrollment ratio for primary school, secondary school and higher education beyond secondary school. You might be thinking why per capita income is being shown in dollars. So the answer is that per capita income is calculated in dollars for all countries so that it can be compared. It is also done in a way so that every dollar would buy the same amount of goods and services in any country. Isn't it surprising that a small country in our neighborhood, Sri Lanka, is much ahead of India in every respect, and a big country like ours has such a low rank in the world? The table also shows that though Nepal and Bangladesh have low per capita income than India, yet they are better than India in life expectancy level. Many improvements have been suggested in calculating HDI and many new components have been added to the Human Development Report, but by prefixing human to development, it has made it very clear that what is important in development is what is happening to citizens of a country. It is people, their health, their well-being that is most important. Can you think about certain other aspects that should be considered in measuring human development? I'm sure you can. What do you think India should do to become a developed country? Now, let's move ahead towards sustainability of development. Sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Whichever way we define development, we would certainly like this level of development to go up further or at least be maintained for future generations. This is obviously desirable. However, since the second half of the 20th century, a number of scientists have been warning that the present type and levels of development are not sustainable. Let us understand this through an example. Groundwater is an example of renewable resources. These resources are replenished by nature, as in the case of crops and plants. However, even these resources may be overused. For example, in the case of groundwater, if we use more than what is being replenished by rain, then we would be overusing this resource. Non-renewable resources are those which will get exhausted after years of use. We have a fixed stock on earth which cannot be replenished. We do discover new resources that we did not know of earlier. New resources in this way add to the stock. However, over time, even this will get exhausted. So, for sustainable development, we need to use the resources cautiously. With this, we come to the end of today's lesson. I hope you understood it well. Now it's time to see how much you have understood. So, let's look at some questions. First, we have some multiple choice questions and you have to choose the correct answer from the given options. The first question is, development goal for landless agricultural laborer is, and the options are a new house, better irrigation facilities, freedom to take decisions, or more days of work. And the answer is more days of work. The second question is, the goals of development are, and the options are different for different people, conflicting for different people, mixed for people, or all of the above. And the answer is yes, all of the above. Now the next question, different people have different notions of development because the options are they are different, their life situations are different, they are born at different times, or none of the above. And the answer is yes, their life situations are different. The next question is, which attribute is considered to be the most important for comparing countries? And the options are income, health, education, or all of the above. And the answer is income. Next, we have some sentences. You have to tell whether these sentences are true or false. The first sentence is, per capita income is the main criteria used by the World Bank in classifying different countries. So children, this sentence is true. Next one is, per capita income is calculated in dollars for all countries so that comparison is easy. This again is true. Next we have, issue of sustainability is not important, but it is catching attention these days. This sentence is false because the issue is very important. The last sentence is, the system of using averages for comparison of countries has limitations. So children, this sentence is true because average income does not tell us how the income is distributed among people. It does not show disparities in income. Now let's move further. Now we have some sentences which are to be completed by supplying one or two words. Are you ready? The first sentence is, total income of a country divided by its total population is called, and the answer is, it is called per capita income. Next question is, IMR stands for, and the answer is infant mortality rate. The third question is, the proportion of literate population in the 7 and above age group is called, yes, literacy rate. And the last question of the day, HDI stands for, the answer is Human Development Index. So children, with this we come to the end of today's video. I'm sure you liked it and got to know a great deal about what development is. Also, you learnt many new terms like per capita income, literacy rate, infant mortality rate and HDI, that is Human Development Index. That's all for now. I'll be back soon with some more interesting videos. Till then, keep learning, keep smiling.